I moved into the Blackwood Apartments 6 months ago. It's a nice building pre-war, thick walls, quiet tenants. Almost too quiet. From my living room window, I have a direct view into the apartment across the courtyard. Unit 3B. And in 6 months, I've never seen the light in that window go out. Every night, it's the same. I come home from work. The light is on. I make dinner. The light is on. I watch a movie, read a book, get ready for bed. And when I take that last look out the window before turning in, there it is. A single, soft, yellow square cutting through the darkness. Always on. At first, I didn't think much of it. Maybe the tenant works from home, a night owl, an artist who finds inspiration in the witching hours. But as weeks turned into months, a quiet curiosity began to fester. I never saw a silhouette pass by the window. I never heard a sound, no music, no TV, not even a cough. The mail carrier once told me she'd never delivered a single letter to 3B. No visitors ever seemed to come or go. The apartment was a silent, illuminated void. The other neighbors were just as oblivious. I'd bring it up casually in the elevator. Ever notice the light in 3B is always on? I'd ask. Most would just shrug. Never noticed, they'd say. Or they would offer a simple explanation. Maybe they're on vacation and left a light on for security. For 6 months. It felt like I was the only one who saw it, the only one unsettled by it. My curiosity started to border on obsession. I began keeping a log. I'd note the time I went to bed, the time I woke up in the middle of the night for a glass of water. The light was always there, a constant, unwavering beacon in the shared darkness of our courtyard. It was unnerving. The lack of activity was more disturbing than any noise could ever be. It was the visual equivalent of a scream held just behind the teeth. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. The silence from that apartment was deafening. I found myself staring at the lit window, my own apartment dark around me, and a strange thought bloomed in my mind. What if no one is in there? What if something happened and this light is the only sign? I decided to do something. It felt a little crazy, a little invasive, but the not knowing was eating me alive. I grabbed a small, cheap pair of binoculars I'd bought for birdwatching years ago. My hands were trembling slightly as I raised them to my eyes. I focused the lens on the window of 3B. The glass was a bit grimy, distorting the view. But I could make out the interior. It was a living room, sparsely furnished. A simple armchair, a small side table, and a lamp. The lamp was the source of the light. It was an old-fashioned thing with a fringed, yellowed shade. And sitting in the armchair, facing away from the window, was a person. I couldn't see their face, just the back of their head and their shoulders. They were perfectly still. So still. I watched for what felt like an eternity. 10 minutes. 20. They didn't move. Not a twitch. Not a shift in posture. They just sat there, bathed in the lamp's glow. My blood ran cold. The next day, my resolve hardened. This wasn't just curiosity anymore. It was concern. Genuine, heart-pounding concern. I walked over to the building manager's office. Mr. Henderson was an older man, usually grumpy but fair. Mr. Henderson, I started, trying to sound casual. I'm a bit worried about the tenant in 3B. I've never actually met them, and, well, their light is on 24/7. I just wanted to make sure everything's okay. He looked up from his paperwork, his expression unreadable. He sighed. A long, weary sound. Unit 3B? You're new here, aren't you? Yes, about 6 months, I replied. He leaned back in his chair, his eyes fixed on something far away. The tenant in 3B is Mrs. Gable, Eleanor Gable. She's lived here for over 40 years. He paused, choosing his words carefully. Her husband, Arthur, passed away in that apartment about 5 years ago. He had a heart attack, right there in his favorite armchair, while reading under his lamp. A shiver traced its way down my spine. The armchair. The lamp. Mr. Henderson continued, his voice softer now. Eleanor. She didn't take it well. She refused to let anyone touch the room. She said Arthur was just resting, that he liked to read late into the night. She said turning off the lamp would be like letting him go into the dark. It would be like admitting he was gone. My throat felt tight. So, she still lives there? He shook his head slowly. No, after about a year, her family had her moved into a care facility. She wasn't able to live on her own anymore. They tried to pack up the apartment, but she had a breakdown. She made them promise to leave the light on for Arthur, so he wouldn't be alone in the dark. He looked me straight in the eye. The family pays the rent and the electricity bill every month on time, just to keep that light on. It's a condition of the lease. No one lives there. It's just a room waiting for someone who's never coming back. I walked back to my apartment in a daze. All the pieces clicked into place. The silence, the lack of mail of visitors, the stillness of the figure in the chair, but it wasn't a figure. It couldn't be. Was my mind playing tricks on me? Did I just imagine someone sitting there, or was it something else? A trick of the light, a shadow, a coat thrown over the back of the chair? I had to look again. That night, with a heavy heart, I raised the binoculars to my eyes one last time. I focused on the window, my breath held tight in my chest. The room was the same. The lamp, the side table, the armchair. But the chair was empty. Completely empty. I haven't used the binoculars since. The light in 3B is still on every night. It hasn't changed. But I have. I no longer see it as a source of unsettling mystery. I see it as a memorial. A testament to a love so strong it refuses to let the light go out. A lonely, silent vigil kept by an empty room. And sometimes, when the night is at its darkest and quietest, I find myself looking over at that single, illuminated square. And I whisper into the silence of my own apartment, "Good night, Arthur." Because in the quiet corners of this old building, some stories never truly end. They just keep a light on. If you or someone you know is struggling with grief or mental health, please know there is support available. Organizations like the National Alliance on Mental Illness and the Crisis Text Line are there to help. Reaching out is a sign of strength. Thank you for listening.